10 NBA players who must prove themselves this season. The new season's coming up on us quick, but last season still left us off with a lot of questions. And this is going to be a big year for a lot of different players for a lot of different reasons. And whatever those reasons are, these 10 players must prove themselves this year. We're starting off first with an honorable mention, and that's Isaiah Thomas. I mentioned this recently, so I'll keep it quick, but he claims he's finally fully healthy for the first time in 3 years. Well, it's been disappointing watching him play for the last 3 years. So this year he's got to prove that he's telling the truth and start playing like his old self again, because this really is the last time anyone's going to believe that he actually has a shot of getting back to normal. Number 1, Karl Anthony Towns. This has got to be Karl Anthony Towns' year. It's got to be a big one for him. Up until this point, he's proven that he's not a first option kind of player. He's proven he's not the guy that comes in and turns a franchise around. Instead, he's the type of player that would just probably play great alongside another star. But now he's getting the opportunity to be the best player on a pretty good team. He's got D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and a roster full of some more pretty talented guys. But still, aside from the Warriors, they were the worst team in the NBA this past year. So with the talent they have now for this upcoming season, if Towns still can't lead them to even being a near playoff team, then that's going to say a lot about the type of player that he is. People already don't say great things about him. He already isn't looked at in the best light. So this is a make or break year for him. He could either turn his reputation around or make it clear that people have been right about what they've said all along. I mean, he averaged 26 and 11 this year and didn't make the All-Star team. I want to have faith in him though. I hope he turns things around for this team. I'm not saying he will, but if he's ever gonna do it, if it's ever gonna happen, it's gotta be this year. Number 2, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo hasn't even played an NBA game yet, but he's got something to prove. I mean, every single player in the draft this year kind of does, because it'll be the first season to show what they got, but I think he may have the most pressure on him to do so. After how cocky he played in high school, everything with his dad, his strange early career path with choosing not even to finish high school basketball, let alone opting out of attending college, combined with the matter of his brother not necessarily living up to the expectations as a former second overall pick, and with him being known as the clear most skilled Ball brother, then growing up to be 6'7" and still playing point guard, there's a lot of pressure on him to actually be great. Like, if he comes out playing like Lonzo this year, it may start to look like he made all the wrong choices with playing overseas and everything. And with him shooting 37% from the field and 24% from 3 while overseas, it makes me think that might happen. I hope it doesn't, and I really hope he comes out playing great so he can actually prove himself this year. Number 3, Kevin Durant. Okay, I know what you're thinking. KD has nothing to prove. What could he possibly have left to prove at this point? Well, it's simple. The Nets gave him a max contract this year on hopes that he returns from his Achilles injury still good enough to deserve one. And I mean, he's Kevin Durant, so chances are high that that happens. Most people are saying they expect that the Achilles injury won't be as bad for him because of his play style, and that he'll still be able to be a top tier player in the league. And that scenario makes the most sense. It's what I also believe will happen, but it's not 100% guaranteed. An Achilles injury is serious. It basically ended Isaiah Thomas, Patrick Ewing, Kobe Bryant, and Chauncey Billups' careers. And even though they were all 35 years old when it happened to them, they were drastically different players before and after. And with current players, it took Rudy Gay from averaging 18 points a game to putting up 11 a game the next season. And as we know, it's just destroyed DeMarcus Cousins' career. Let's hope Durant comes back like Dominique Wilkins though and is just better than ever. But we won't know until he actually proves himself this year. Number 4, Paul George. I mean, this is an easy one. We might have to wait until the postseason this year for Paul George to prove himself, but he still has to do it sometime this year. His value as a player is dropping, and for good reason. He was a star in Indiana going head to head with LeBron every year, but it all changed once he got to OKC, and it's crazy because PG makes for the perfect second option, the perfect player to play alongside another star, but ever since he's gotten that opportunity, it's been bad. 2018, himself and Westbrook get beat in the first round by the Utah Jazz and a rookie Donovan Mitchell. Let's not forget, Mitchell was a rookie when he beat them. Then the next year is his best regular season. He plays like a true MVP, but in the postseason, they lose in 5 games to Damian Lillard in the first round. Then this year, he submitted his audition tape for Space Jam 3 with what only looked like somebody stole all of his talent. So he's either just become terrible in the playoffs, or he just can't play with other stars. I don't know which it is, but if he doesn't really make up for last year this year, he might start to look like he's got a real problem. Number 5, John Wall. So I mentioned KD coming back from his Achilles injury and how he may or may not be affected, but that's a lot different than Wall's situation because he will be affected. Most of his game was based off of athleticism, so there's no doubt that his game will be different when he comes back. And now 724 days after his first initial injury, we're finally going to get to see him back in an NBA game. 724 days! And I, like most people, have just completely ruled him out and said he probably wouldn't be a good player when he returns, but after seeing videos of his open runs in recent weeks, he may have a chance. I did notice in them though that he wasn't getting up nearly as high as he used to and wasn't as explosive as he was pre-injury. So we are seeing some of the effects, but it could have also been because it was just a scrimmage and he wasn't going 100%. But either way, the other thing I noticed is that he's really done what he was supposed to while he was gone and altered his game. He was taking a ton of spot up threes and pull up mid-range shots, something he used to not do nearly as much, and that's a great sign for his future. And no matter how athletic he is, he's always crafty around the rim, so he'll still be able to be effective on that end as well. All of this to say is that there's still hope for John Wall, and this season he must prove that he's still at least a near all-star level player, or else his career as a star is most likely over and he'll continue to be the most overpaid player in the league for even longer. Then we have Devin Booker at number 6, and he's still got a lot to prove. The Phoenix Suns have been terrible for years, but they came back and went 8-0 in the bubble this year, and it wasn't a fluke. They beat the Dallas Mavericks twice, the Clippers, the Heat, the Pacers, the Thunder, and the 76ers, all playoff teams with all-stars. So they were looking good in winning games, but now that they got Chris Paul, they're instantly expected to make the playoffs. So all the pressure is now on him to lead his team there. He had excuses before Phoenix was bad and he never played with another star, but now if we get the same results from them this year, and they still aren't close to making the postseason, that's gonna fall completely on Booker. I have confidence though that won't happen. I think him and CP3 are gonna be a real threat together. Plus DeAndre Ayton's really gonna have an all-star level year too playing with Paul. So I think Booker will prove himself as a real star, but he's still gotta go out there and do it. Number 7, Zion Williamson. The hype has not slowed down for Zion Williamson. He's been expected to be a superstar, and even though he's only played 24 games, how well he played in them and averaging 22 a game has put him up to some very high standards. Even only with his extremely limited playtime, people are saying he's a star, saying he's better than other certain players, even discussed him for Rookie of the Year, and now we're expecting him to be an all-star next season, and those are all huge. So this year he's got to prove to everyone that he can not only live up to that hype, but also stay injury free, because if he doesn't do either of those things, he will not only let people down, but also may not have the superstar career he's been expected to. Number 8, Blake Griffin, and we're gonna keep it short for Blake, but he's basically got to prove whether or not he can keep his career as a star alive. He reignited it when he got to the Pistons, but basically missed all of last year with more knee injuries, and in the 18 games he did play, he only averaged 15 points and 4 rebounds a game. So either he goes back to averaging 20 and 10 in 2021 and proves himself, or averages more near career lows and possibly continues to deal with more injuries. It could really go either way at this point with him, so it's hard to say what'll happen. Then number 9 is another guy coming off of injuries, and that's Kristaps Porzingis. He's been someone with MVP Dirk Nowitzki potential, but up until this point isn't living up to it because of all of his injuries, and that's always a concern for someone his height, so he may not be able to avoid them. And the ones he suffered until now have really stunted his growth as a player. He played his best basketball when he was an all-star 2 years ago, and really hasn't developed too much since then in 2018, so this year's a must for him, to show that he will develop and show that it's possible for him to stay healthy. If he can, the Mavericks are going to be a huge threat in the NBA for many years to come, and if he can't do either of those, he'll have one of the biggest wasted potentials we've ever seen. Then finally for number 10 we have Kyrie Irving, and it might not seem like it, but he actually has a lot left to prove. He was a great player on a bad team before LeBron got to the Cavs, had the best play of his career with LeBron and proved he was a superstar, but really hurt his reputation on the Celtics. Then on the Nets this past season, he put up some of his best numbers ever, but the team was bad with him on the court and better without him. So now he's got to prove that he's still a top tier guy. And with KD not coming back 100% healthy, he's going to have to take over more of the workload than he had to with LeBron. I think it's clear though that Irving's built to be a second option, but he's going to have to prove that he can still get the young guys on the Nets involved, assuming they still play there, and prove that he can be a superstar. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to let me know, and I'll catch you next time.